This video is going to be much shorter than my last video. My last one being over 17 minutes long. No idea how it took that long. I was thinking maybe 10 minutes. This video will be 17 minutes over. Crazy. This video, today's video, I'm thinking more like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, but I've not got loads to talk about, so I'm leaning more towards 5. What we're going to talk about today is practical tips to increase fullness and minimize hunger, which is incredibly important when you are looking to shred body fat, when you want to lose weight. You need to be in a calorie deficit. When you're in a calorie deficit, there's a good chance you're going to be hungry. If that hunger is too much, it'll make sustaining that calorie deficit almost impossible. So we want to minimize hunger, increase the feeling of fullness to make the calorie deficit as sustainable as possible. A calorie deficit doesn't need to be sustainable forever. It just needs to be sustainable long enough to get you to where you want to be, long enough to shred the body fat that you want to shred, because once you shred the body fat that you want to shred, you can actually up the calories to maintenance calories, which is a much nicer place to be. It's nice to eat more food, isn't it? So, tips to increase fullness. The first one, protein. You want to consume a protein-rich diet. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient. If your diet is low in protein, you're going to be pretty hungry. If your diet is rich in protein, you're much less likely to be hungry and therefore much more likely to sustain the calorie deficit. Try to have a good source of protein with each meal. Aim for 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of your body weight, maybe even more if you want to maximize muscle protein synthesis. If you can get to 1.8 grams of protein per kilo of your body weight, amazing. But if not, 1.6 is a good place to be. At very least, you're looking at 1.2 grams of protein per kilo of your body weight. But when you're in a calorie deficit, there's an increased chance of muscle loss. So you want to avoid that by not only stimulating your muscles via resistance training, but also by consuming an adequate amount of protein. So protein, protein, protein. Second to that, we have, squeaky chair. Second to that, we have fiber. So fiber, again, similar to protein, is very satiating. So you want to have plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds. Actually, I think I spoke about this in my last video. Fiber is very satiating, but also just, these foods, so fruits and vegetables, for example, they are very low in calories and high in volume. If you're able to eat a lot of food for your calorie needs, so the calories need to be in a position where they're going to induce weight loss, so low enough to induce weight loss, but you can cram a lot of food in a small amount of calories, low amount of calories, if you eat foods that are low in calories and high in volume. Loads of fruits, loads of vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are your best friend when in a calorie deficit. And protein is also your best friend. You have 2 best friends. Or 3 best friends if you count fruits and vegetables as... Anyway, let's move on. So we have protein, fiber, and food volume. Big ones to focus on. We also have other strategies like low-calorie drinks. That's a big one. So, for example, Diet Cokes, Coke Zeros, Pepsi Max, which is maybe my favorite. I do like Coke Zero, but Pepsi Max, it is nice. It is nice. With Pepsi Max, it's very sweet. Sometimes we want that sweet hit, don't we? Pepsi Max, Coke Zero, Diet Coke, it gives us that sweet hit, but it's also carbonated, so it's quite filling. Now, for the most part, you do want to be drinking water. You don't want to be just sipping on Diet Cokes all day. It's not going to do you. It's not great for your teeth. The diet drinks do get a bad rap, but you would need to consume of a large amount of Diet Cokes for them to have, to be detrimental to your health. So yeah, if you're having a couple of Diet Cokes per day, for the most part drinking water, you're all good. Another thing is eating slowly. Now, this is something that I don't always do, and therefore it's something I don't always mention, but eating slowly does make a difference. You really want to savor your meals. You want to make that meal last as long as you can, as long as it's not getting cold, of course. If you're just smashing that meal back, then you're going to finish that meal and think that I could eat that again. So eat slowly. So we have protein, fiber, focus on foods low in calories, high in volume, eat slowly, and there was something else I wanted to go through. Let me just reference my notes here. Yes. Oh, and diet drinks as well. Did I mention that? Yeah, diet drinks. Last thing I want to go through is, you hear that squeaky chair? The last thing I want to go through is managing your hunger, particularly around training. Now, the last time I did a real cut and really focused on shredding body fat and was in a deficit for a prolonged period, the times when I thought this really sucks was around my training. So if I hadn't had enough calories prior to that session where I just felt weak, I was just like, this calorie deficit thing sucks. So you want to manage your calories around your training, making sure that you have enough calories to fuel that workout, to effectively fuel that workout. You want to be performing at your best. And of course, there's an advantage to having a meal after the session as well. So protein, for example, to maximize recovery, maximize muscle protein synthesis. So yeah, having a fair amount of your calories around your workout is going to be advantageous from a performance perspective, and therefore advantageous from a muscle development and muscle recovery perspective as well. And also, if you have times of the day where you're not that hungry, for example, people often aren't that hungry. This video is more than 5 minutes, isn't it? People often aren't that hungry in the morning. If you're not that hungry in the morning, don't feel obligated to have a meal in the morning. Save it till you're a little bit hungrier, and ultimately that shortens your eating window. Having a shorter eating window is the reason intermittent fasting is so effective, because if we have a smaller eating window, we're likely to consume fewer calories in that eating window because it's a smaller eating window. So if you're not that hungry in the morning, don't eat in the morning, or just have something small. If you want to have something small, like a banana to keep you going until, or a protein bar or protein shake to keep you going until you're hungry, maybe that's around 10 o'clock, and have a more of a substantial meal. And it's also worth mentioning that hunger comes in waves, and often those waves hit at times when you would generally eat. So if there is a time of day, if you feel like, I really need to have a meal around my workout, but then I'm hungry at this time, that's probably because you're used to eating at that time. If you do need to move things around to more effectively fuel your workout and stop eating at certain times, so rather than eating at 12, you need to move that back a little bit, or whatever it is, you will get used to that, and that hunger wave will no longer come at that time. It will come at the new time, which is just before you train, for example. And that's everything. So quite a few practical tips there to increase the feeling of fullness. And when in a calorie deficit, it's important that we are as satiated as possible to minimize hunger, increase fullness, and ultimately make the calorie deficit as sustainable as possible.